Alrighty, everybody. Good evening. This is the Reverend again with
The theme here.
and
Graymouse 1.
Yep. Once again, three middle-aged dudes just bullshitting about nothing. This weekend in the geek world was actually kind of uneventful, unless you paid attention to certain releases and certain trailers. I'm not sure if we're even going to be able to get all of them today, but there was quite a few interesting things that were going on inside the video game world. One of the things that wasn't exactly new to this week, but had come to our attention was that the Coleco Chameleon not only hit its crowd, not only did it hit a stage where it started crowdfunding, but it pretty much left the building and retreated from the crowdfunding scene almost as quickly as it pretty much entered the arena. For those who don't know, the Coleco Chameleon pretty much, let's go ahead and I'll pull up a screen here to show everybody what's going on. Let me share this out. That right there, that's the Coleco Chameleon. All right?
The Atari Coleco Chameleon.
The Atari Coleco Chameleon. Yeah, it looks pretty much just like an Atari Jaguar shell without the CD part put on it.
So it went from an Atari Jaguar shell to a dental kit shell to now the Coleco Chameleon.
Yep. From this to that. And let's just say there's a reason why it left the crowdfunding arena. The system as it was put forward is pretty much it's a clone system. All right, multiple systems. It's going to clone a lot of hardware. So you're pretty much playing a lot of things through hardware emulation. And it was offering Atari 2600 games, ColecoVision games, Super Nintendo games, and also there was something else it was offering. But to say the least,
Television?
Oh, the Intellivision games, yes. Yeah. To say the least, a lot of people were skeptical about it, and unfortunately, as far as when people started looking into it a little bit deeper, it turned out that things were really, really not just suspicious, but straight up shady when folks really started investigating the things that they were putting out there. So they put the crowdfunding process on hold. It hit 80,000 of 1,950,000 that they needed in order to go ahead and actually start the project, and that's pretty much where we're at now. It's in limbo. Your thoughts, guys?
Didn't they stop the Kickstarter?
Yeah, they retracted it altogether.
I was under the impression that it didn't even start.
No, it started.
No, it started.
It was up there for about a week, and that was it.
But then people started finding out what they were finding out, and then the news broke, and now you have the current situation. Like, they just stopped it all together. And, okay, look, this is one of those things where it's like, come on, you've got to be kidding. First of all, turn off number one, the Atari Jaguar shell.
Yeah.
No. Second of all, when they had the clear version out, there are two things on the inside the clear shell that people discovered that was like, wait a minute, that light bulbs and explanation points got on their head like cartoon characters and shit. And it's like, so they found models of what, a SNES Junior?
Yeah, that's the
That's
That
one
was
of the things that they found.
redesigned miniature Super Nintendo that they put out in Japan. Yep.
Was
I
it
mean,
here as well? I thought the SNES Junior was here too.
Yeah, I think that it was released here as the SNES too.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but
First of all, there was no prototype of this thing, or
Yeah.
any. Okay, they should have had a prototype. They should have had it in action,
they
but
didn't show anything working at all.
no. And how the fuck are you going to be able to play all those games with one slot? It's not going to work. So that was the instant suspicion. And okay, look, for retro gaming, okay, fine. But at the end of the day, Coleco.
The only thing I can go ahead and figure out, think that they decided to go ahead and use the Coleco name or even refer to the brand was that they were probably playing on some sort of sense of nostalgia for people to go ahead and invest. I would have been fine with the original name, the Retro VGS.
But then that, Retron 5 and but I understand that they wanted to go to a name that was basically trying to separate them from the other names. But at the same time, so now motherfuckers is like, oh yeah, this is a scam, and that's it. It's just sad, really. For one, it just gives everything a bad name.
Yeah. Well, they were also they had to Coleco or whoever's doing this. They demanded to see the work in progress. Within a week.
Well,
so it's gotten that bad.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, there should have been a prototype from the beginning. Before there was anything, there should have been at least a prototype. I remember when the Xbox had a prototype. It was that big ass X.
Yep.
But at least it was a prototype.
Mm-hmm.
You had even. Fuck, man. I can't even get my thoughts about this.
There's just so many copyright infringements on this. It's just, you can't even fathom how many copyright infringements are.
Okay, they made a clear Jaguar shell, and I heard it was taped together.
Well, here's the thing about the hardware patents and stuff like that, is that there's pretty much a period of immunity. I think it's 7 or 11 years that once you go ahead and patent hardware and you actually sell it on the market, that nobody can come in and basically go out of their way to reverse engineer it or try to build a version of it so that they can put it out on the market for themselves.
How the fuck can you reverse engineer something that was never engineered?
Well, the thing about the retro systems, and the reason why a lot of the clone systems like the Retron 3, the Retron 5, and a whole bunch of those things actually exist now is because that old hardware is now considered a legacy. So basically it's after the point on the patent and everything else where they can go out of their way, they can take the actual hardware itself, the components out of those particular things, they could reverse engineer it, they can try to build their own version and everything else, and that's how those particular clones go ahead and do their business.
It's just funny how they didn't try to even be smart about this and try to spread things around. They had to have a clear shell. They couldn't take a PSP apart and spread all that shit around and connect it to that would have been more worthy than what they just tried.
I think what the Reverend brought up was a good point, was that they were trying to rely on nostalgia.
Well, that's what a Retron system is supposed to do.
Yeah,
but they were.
The problem with the guys who were working on the Chameleon was that they put it out there. They're probably trying to go ahead and market this out to God knows how many different manufacturers, and they probably couldn't get any sort of money.
Yeah.
So just like a lot of other budding engineers and creators, they were like, there's always crowdfunding. So they went ahead and they went toward crowdfunding. Unfortunately, it looks like at the point that they did all of that, they never had a working prototype in place.
Well, what
So,
amazes me is that they had $80,000 already. How many backers did they have? That blows my mind. Why would you back up something that you have no proof
People was so drawn into the idea.
yeah.
I mean, let's face it. You have the Retron 5 that has its problems. This could have been a nice alternative.
Yeah. And that and the fact that you've got lots of instances where people actually had something working, a prototype, whether or not it's a book, a movie, a product. They go ahead and they set it up on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. They get a lot of funds, and then the final thing that comes out is crap or completely never even completed. It needs sarcasm.
I was about to say the same thing.
You know, so when it comes to the whole Kickstarter thing or the crowdfunding thing, there's really no guarantee at all that if you decide to go ahead and pledge, that anything is going to come out. And if it does come out, that's actually going to be anywhere near what they said it was going to be.
So what are they going to do? Refund all that $80,000 to all the backers?
No.
Well,
That money gone? What's up?
with the way that Kickstarter works is that if you don't hit a Kickstarter goal, whatever initial kickstarting goal, that's your launching point. All of those funds go back to whoever's pledged. What Kickstarter does themselves is that they act as an intermediary. They hold the funds, and they're like, okay, these guys got enough things to go ahead and actually start their project. We're going to go ahead and release these funds out. They can start doing whatever the heck they want to do. All right. If they never get there, guess what? Those funds go back to whoever's backed it. Those people who donated their $80,000 that pledged that much, thankfully they got their money back. Well, they said it was through Indiegogo. I'm not sure how Indiegogo works. It might be a little bit different from Kickstarter, but at that point, they weren't anywhere near. They weren't even close to a tenth of what they needed. They weren't even close to 5% of what they needed.
How much were they asking for?
$1,950,000.
That's an odd number.
Yeah, 1.9 million.
What? That's a weird number.
It's what they asked for. So I really don't know what that was going to cover. Yep. So
They're buying the rest of the Jaguars that existed, and fucking tearing them down and putting SNES or CPU boards or whatever the fuck they were putting in them.
Yeah. That it.
The way I see it,
oil.
the way I see it, I hope it never sees the light of day.
Well, it's not going to.
I really hope it doesn't see the light of day.
Not at
It's
this
a slap in the face. It really is.
Hey, now wait a minute. If they're gonna go after shit like this, then it's like, Jesus. This is just the fact that so many mistakes were made with this. I mean, when the initial story broke and I took a look at it, I was like, oh, no. But the Coleco Chameleon, I was like, does anyone, okay, for retro collectors, for retro gamers, I can understand, but was anyone looking for a Coleco Vision? Most of the other systems either have like retro consoles already, like the flashbacks, and television has that. The Coleco Vision already has that.
Yep.
The 2600, I mean, the 2600 SNES, you can actually still go get those consoles to this day, or you can modify a video game system and put that shit on there. But I just don't see. I'm just asking, did people see value?
Well,
apparently they did. I mean, $80,000 was pledged.
Well,
but it's like, okay, by who? Motherfuckers in South America that were just like, oh yeah, we want this again.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Against people in South America, I'm just asking a question.
I mean, they're still publishing Dreamcast and Sega Genesis games down there.
Actually, the Master System is still going.
Yeah.
They're in love with Sega.
So, I mean, Here's the thing with a lot of the retro systems, and I know this from first-hand experience, is that if you have an old system and you have a new TV, unfortunately, getting that old system to look correct on a new TV is quite a lot of work. All right?
Even with a Retron system, it's like that.
Yeah, and that's where the appeal and attractiveness of those particular systems happen to come up, because then you have a console that's set to be connected up to a newer display, and you don't have to worry about, oh, do I need a scaler? If I do scale this, is it going to cause lag that's going to make the system unplayable? Because there are a lot of games on all the 16-bit and back systems that if you go ahead and you're playing it on a modern TV and it's not one of the ones that actually has an S video port on it, it's like good luck, you know. If you hook it up to a converter, a scaler that goes to HDMI, you know, good luck being able to play that without such a huge amount of lag that you're going to feel like everything that you're putting in is coming in slow motion. Or basically everything controls like Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo. You know.
No.
Hey, I remember pressing all the buttons down and holding the shoulders down, watching high punch, low punch, high kick, low kick, and then block come out. Because that was the amount of delay on the buttons. So
I remember high school having an argument about the Super Nintendo version of that game and the Genesis version of that game. And because I didn't have the Super Nintendo version. I rented it and I was like, oh God, this is awful. So motherfuckers from the Genesis fanboy conundrum, they were like, we have blood, and I was like, all right, fine. And I was just like, please don't mention the control. Please don't mention the control. Please don't mention the control. All that was going through my head, and I'm just like, if they would have mentioned control, no matter what I said, I would have lost.
That would have been it.
That would have been it. I would be like, all right, fine.
That's a more concrete
argument. That was real fanboy wars, by the way. We argued about what shit was actually better than the other.
Yeah.
In more reasonable terms back then, even though it was still fanboy garbage. But back to the Coleco Chameleon, it's just that a good idea, maybe, but poorly executed. If they meant to execute it at all,
they had pretty much they literally put the cart in front of the horse, where it was like, you know, we've got this great idea. They didn't even work up a prototype or anything. And everything they put in front of everybody, you know, as soon as somebody had a moment or two to actually look at what was in front of them, they were like, hey, is that an old PCI video card in that thing? No, that's not right. You know, yeah. It was just not
developers. I wonder if the developers took apart their Super Nintendo, their Atari boards, and just put it all in one spot. Let's see if this connected all together. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Looks like they just, they stole the best from the Super Nintendo. They stole the best from Atari. They stole the best of this, and then they just put it together.
I mean, they didn't even have the slots, that's the thing, Look
at this. So it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool at all.
Like no one was gonna have the current shit to actually figure that out.
Yeah.
But my question is, all right, look, man, look at the chameleon at the Coleco Chameleon itself. It's like, okay, where are the slots for all these games? Were they gonna be digital, or were they just gonna be downloadable, or was it just gonna be built into the system? Say again.
How would it just be ROMs?
Yeah,
well, that's the thing, is that none of the clone systems, all right, in order for them to be actually legal for sale, all right, you can actually go ahead and build a clone system that can play the old media. So if I have a cartridge or a CD or something else for something that's legacy, that's fine, all right? But I can't, you know, I can't sit there and mark it out and say, hey, by the way, put all these games from the internet in the SD card and shove it into here and we'll play everything. Yeah. No, they can't do that.
No.
You know, that crosses over into the copyright and all that other sort of legalese. That's completely separate than the hardware stuff.
That's why, like, the Retron 5 does, even though it accepts the carts themselves and the cartridges, it's still done by emulation.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think maybe they were going in this route as well, but
yeah, that's what the what was it? The FPGA processor was for. So it's supposedly a processor that's smart enough that if you're able to code a back end that's eloquent and robust enough, it'll know, oh, hey, these are the parameters for an Atari 2600 processor. I'll go ahead and I'll emulate that. All right. Or a Super Nintendo processor. I'll emulate that. Sega Genesis processor. I could do that too. But again, they didn't have anything working or in place. So it turned out to be a lot less than what they said it was. So, no.
Well, even if they got to the final product or whatever, I mean, how much were they expecting to sell this for? I mean, what would be the retail price? I mean,
probably around $150. That's what the Retron 5 sells for. So around 150. Which, hey, if you could sit there and you could display that many classic systems out on a modern display, that's not a bad price.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, considering that, you know, I think this is more than that. So, yeah, that cost me more than $150.
So what's the lesson here?
I think the lesson here for a lot of people is that just like anything else that's actually out there on any of the crowdfunding sites, like whether it be Kickstarter or Indiegogo, if people start making noise about it, especially the folks that sit there and say, this is a little bit too good to be true and this doesn't sound like something that's actually worthwhile, it's, you know, actually worth it to give them a second of your time and see what they're offering up. Because otherwise, you know, who knows? The thing, what would have happened with this was that if people went ahead and actually met that 1.9 million goal, they would have started their work, but God knows when it would have actually came out. Mm-hmm. You know, it could have been, you know, they could have said 2 or 3 years, but in reality, it probably would have been like 5, 7, 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So in that case, it's like, well, yeah, I gave the guy $150, and I got nothing to show for
it. What you thought? You think it would have been like Mighty Number 9?
No, more like Oculus Rift.
Well, that came with a $600 price tag.
Yeah, and initially it was supposed to be for $399. Okay, like I said, initially when they announced it out, they said it was going to be $400 and it was going to be multi-platform. Yeah, you know.
I think the lesson here: keep your old shit, keep your old TV. Whatever. I look, I still have all my old shit. I still have an old TV, as you guys know.
Exactly. That's my CRT right there.
Exactly. I have one over there, and it's like I still play my shit on it. Oh God, why? Because it still works, and it's still compatible to it, and it looks better on those TVs. That's what it was meant for. And plus, I can shoot ducks still. So that would have been another question. I'm like, okay, wait, was the Super Scope 6 going to be compatible with the Super Nintendo? Fuck, no, because it would have been, no.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have been. What about you, Graymouse? What do you think of the situation?
2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs down. Alrighty. With that, that's basically what our collective thoughts on the Coleco bottomless snake oil.
It's just garbage. That's all. I mean, I don't think we said anything that anyone hasn't already inputted already on.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those insert coin, try again things, man.
Try again, my ass. Fuck that.
No, I want my 25 cents back.
Exactly.
I think I'm gonna walk over there to the vending machine, and the little ones that you sit there, you turn the coin in. All right, it's gonna give me some bubble gum. I think I'll have a better time with that.
Well, yeah. Damn. It's just, I don't know.
Or I'll go out of my way and throw it in something like, I don't know, Ghosts and Goblins.
Yep.
Well, you'll probably be spending more than a Kickstarter if you're playing that game. Hey, I've beaten Ghosts and Goblins.
All in quarters. I'm fine with that.
Oh, man. Just sad, really. Just sad.
Yep. Any other thoughts, gentlemen?
No, not on this front.
So that's pretty much our thoughts on the Coleco Chameleon, or ColecoVision bottomless snake oil that they were trying to sell to everybody. Anybody who's followed this through in this video all the way through this, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Visit Graymouse's channel. Visit Theme's channel. Go ahead and do what you want. Leave comments. Tell us if this was boring or not. I don't know. All right. We're going to go ahead and we're going to sign out right here. Check for the next video coming up in just a little bit. This is the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And Graymouse 1.
Once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and gaming, we're signing out. Credits.